February 2005 community call for Hummingbot Foundation. My name is Mike. I'm one of the board of directors of Hummingbot. As a recap of what we'll discuss today, first I'll talk about what's coming up in the next release of Hummingbot in March. That's the 2.4 release. I'll also discuss kind of like the schedule of our weekly live streams. So recently we started to split up the cadence of our call. So now we have a monthly community call like this every month, where we kind of go through basically just like the provide information for the contributors and the developers in the community, and then we have a weekly live stream on YouTube where we do kind of a showcase of what you can build with Hummingbot, the latest strategies we're developing, and so that's really aimed at more like users and traders who are using the Hummingbot framework. This call is really aimed at the contributors. So we'll discuss kind of like what's coming up with the release, some of the bounties that we've paid out to developers and the ones that are in progress right now. And also to discuss some of the top Discord issues that our QA team has identified on GitHub and Discord, as well as announce the results of the governance polls and HBOT purchases that we did recently. Okay, well, yeah, so let's get started. In the 2.4 release, this is ongoing right now. There's a bunch of commits that are hitting the development branch on both Hummingbot and on the gateway side. In Hummingbot, we're doing a big upgrade of the core connectors of Hummingbot. Fede, he upgraded the libraries for a lot of the dependencies that we have in Hummingbot. He also replaced nose tests with Pytests. And I think he actually kind of looked at how a lot of the connector tests were mocked and improved them. So that's resulted in a much faster continuous integration process. So I think the CI/CD process is now takes a few seconds, whereas before it would take like 10 minutes or something like that. So and I think this is actually an ongoing upgrade. So I think Fede is going to create more issues and probably work with members of the community to upgrade more of the core libraries in Hummingbot, reduce more of the dependencies, and overall modernize the code base. Alongside of that, we're also doing a big upgrade DEX connectors in Hummingbot. In the last release, we basically started this streamlined the gateway code base, and we added the Meteor connector in the last release. This release will add connectors to Raydium, both the standard Raydium, kind of like the AMM, where it's the standard Raydium pools, which we're calling AMM connectors, and as well as connectors to Raydium CLMM, which stands for concentrated liquidity market making. So the Raydium CLMM connector will be identical to the Meteora connector because it allows you to set concentrated price ranges. And those two connectors will serve as a template for the community to add others in the future, like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Trader Joe, and so forth. In addition, the Raydium AMM connector will serve as a template called Uniswap v2, so the standard type of pools. But overall, I think the connector design should allow more flexibility because now the connector is a folder. Each route is its own file. So it allows people to add kind of like unique routes that certain exchanges might support, other exchanges don't have to support, as long as these DEXs kind of conform to a common schema in terms of like the endpoint design. I think that this new kind of like DEX architecture should allow people to add a lot more DEXs with a lot more flexibility. There's also been a bunch of updates to the connectors in Hummingbot in this release. In particular, there's some ongoing bounties to fix some issues that people have seen with like Dexalot, Injective, and so there's also some ongoing upgrades to Bybit and other connectors right now. In terms of the live streams, we're starting to do weekly live streams to showcase what people can do with Hummingbot. In last week's live stream, Fede designed, he started designing like an AI-infused algo trading strategy. So I think incorporating AI into algo trading is something that a lot of people are interested in. There's obviously a lot of power that you can do with LLMs right now, but I think how you actually get the AI to be useful in an algo trading context and actually help you improve your strategy is something that I think a lot of people are interested in doing. So this is an ongoing series. and Fede will be covering this subject for the next 3 weeks as well. I think in the first week, I think he just kind of started to basically kind of lay out the pipeline of what how AI will be used in trading, and I think in the next few weeks we'll be fleshing out that pipeline and building the strategy using Hummingbot. Let's move on to bounties now. So bounties are probably our main process for supporting and maintaining the Hummingbot code base. So some of these bounties are issued by the foundation. They come from the voting that people do every quarter to allocate HBOT tokens to connector pots. Other bounties are sponsored by the community. So we work with a number of exchanges funding the maintenance of their connectors through bounties. So recently, we recently paid out a couple of bounties. So thank you to the developers who worked on these bounties. I want to give a shout out to Tomas, who built a BitMart perpetual connector. BitMart is one of the exchanges I just mentioned. They're actively supporting their connectors using the bounty system because they're a recent fee share partner of the foundation. So yeah, they funded the development of this perpetual connector. I think they're also funding some improvements in their spot connectors right now as well. There's also a private bounty that Yankong created for a community member for Hyperliquid. So this community member wanted to support multiple accounts in Hyperliquid, which the generic official Hummingbot connector to Hyperliquid does not do. So Yankong did a private bounty for this community member. This is a good example of how our bounty system, I think, can be applied for both internal and external purposes. We have some in-progress bounties. There's actually one that's pending payout. This is mainly because the developer needs to complete the AML form that we require. This is really just like a compliance requirement that we need to impose, in order to fulfill our AML guidelines. So yeah, basically all developers need to fill out this form in order to receive HBOT tokens or basically any type of bounty from the foundation. In addition, we have a few in-progress bounties. So this is, as I mentioned before, these exchanges are ones that are, either voted on by the community, so there's funding by connector pots, or the exchanges have kind of like set up wallets and are funded the wallets and have worked with the foundation to use these funds to maintain their connectors. So Bybit, Dexalot, a fix for the BitMart Spark connector, and also a new connector for Derive, which is an Ethereum-based perpetual exchange. So these are kind of ongoing right now, all built by members of the community. Well, we don't have any open bounties currently, but if you're interested, please check out our bounties board on the Hummingbot GitHub for new bounties that we publish there. We're actually starting to work with more exchanges on this, so we do expect to see more bounties in the future that are maintaining or adding new exchange connectors. One thing that our team does is we monitor Discord as well as GitHub for issues that our users report, and we try to kind of make sure that we're creating issues or we're assigning developers to fix these in the future. So a number of issues have been reported related to the Bybit perpetual connector. I know that Bybit is in the process of making a lot of upgrades to their API right now, which is one source of this. So there's a couple of open tickets have been created. Additionally, I think this is the bounty that I mentioned earlier for Bybit. So hopefully, once the developer has fixed this issue, the Bybit issue will go away. Users have also mentioned that Docker containers take a lot of time and keep on restarting, especially with Dashboard, because Dashboard is managing a few Docker containers, and so if one of them doesn't work, it really impacts the user experience. It's probably related to the machine that you're using deployed Hummingbot. Try to look at the specs of your server. So overall, if you're going to be using Dashboard and backend API and deploying lots of different bots, we recommend that you use something like a T2.large AWS server for multiple bots. And also just keep in mind that generally that the more instances of Hummingbot you run, the more that degrades your performance. So if you're going to scale to multiple strategies, we highly recommend that you look at using how the V2 framework, you can basically run multiple controller configurations using the same script. So that was actually one reason we added that feature, was to allow Hummingbot to scale more efficiently. So instead of having, let's say, 5 instances running, which are each its separate instance of Hummingbot, you can have one instance of Hummingbot running one kind of like one script, and that script has like five different controller configurations defined in it. Yeah. One question actually: why are Hummingbot Docker images so big? Why does Hummingbot plus API plus broker take more than 5 gigabytes? This is actually one of the issues that the recent environment upgrade, I think, will address. The core reason why it's so big is because a lot of these are libraries that individual connectors rely on. Because the more exchanges we support, the more dependencies those APIs might have, and so that's why a lot of times the environment file is quite large, because it's necessary to support all these different exchanges. But overall, this is actually one of the big reasons for doing the upgrade on both the Hummingbot side and on the gateway side. So on the gateway side, I've already seen that I think the Docker file has gone from like 5 gigabytes down to like one or 2 gigs, and I'm pretty sure Fede will do the same thing on the Hummingbot side as well. We do understand that size is a limitation, so we're trying to make it better through the environment upgrades right now. This agenda also has some other tips for users who are encountering Docker container issues. We'll make sure to include a link to this agenda in the YouTube so people can go through it as well. Yeah, people have also reported issues in setting up Hummingbot and Gateway on Docker. After we kind of finish this Gateway refactor, we'll make sure that this installation process is more seamless. Currently, there's probably some mapping issues that you might encounter unless you set up correctly. Overall, for now, I suggest try to follow the steps in the installation process like this, like step by step. If you do this, it should end up with the right thing. After we complete the gateway upgrade, we'll likely create some videos and more documentation. Basically, there's kind of 2 common issues people have when starting gateway. First is the generation of certificates. So this issue, I think, is actually, I would say, we have a helper script to try to help you do this, but basically the process is basically kind of copying the source folder from Hummingbot into gateway. But overall, I think this process is kind of like core, because if you don't do this, then the gateway is exposed to the public, and because your private key is being used when you're automating transactions on DEXes, it's important that you keep that safe, basically, when you're exposing it to the public. So that's kind of why we have this source process. The refactored version, there'll be an option where you can run gateway in kind of dev mode without using the certs and with the certs. But in order to use it with Hummingbot, you always have to have the certs because that's how it kind of communicates securely with gateway. The other issue that we have seen about tokens not being supported, basically people have to add a new token to the list file when they use gateway. So I think this issue will be greatly improved in the new version of gateway. So that's because in the new version, you'll be able to call the routes by just putting in the address for if let's say the tokens symbols not define a list, and each of the routes should work with addresses in addition to symbols. I'll also create better utilities, adding tokens to the list, resolving duplicates. These kind of like actions are pretty common whenever people are dealing with new chains or even adding to existing ones. So I think in the new refactored version of Gateway, I'll probably create some more scripts that will help people with this process. I think there's already an add token and clean token list script in the new core branch. So I'll try to make sure that those work properly. A couple issues from GitHub. We updated the arbitrage controller recently. Some issues that people have identified. So there's one issue, Fishbone 59 opened, related to kind of like the retry mechanism, the timing on the arbitrage, and also the balance anomaly. So yeah, I do think that these are issues that can be improved with the arbitrage controller. So yeah, overall, we definitely appreciate the community and kind of like in basically creating very detailed issues like this that are easy to reproduce and kind of identify these kind of issues, which I think are valid and I think require things. So overall, these kind of issues, I think, um, uh, because we're involved in all these upgrades core upgrades right now, we probably can't fix them in this release, but hopefully we can address them in the next release, or at least perhaps create a bounty for community members to address them. This issue here, I think there's actually an ongoing Binance connector issue affecting certain countries in Europe. The issue with some of these is that because we don't have any team members in these locations, it's hard for us to test or even identify, what the issue is and what the fix it needs to be. So there's probably something that we should discuss more in our meetings and try to see if someone from the community who's located in these areas can like identify what the fix should be and propose something that we can roll out for Hummingbot. There's one issue with fund rate arbitrage on Hyperliquid. People are experiencing issues with stopping the strategy. There's probably kind of like more work that we need to do with this strategy in addition to the ones we have right now. But right now, because we recently rolled out a lot of strategies. So overall, we're trying to make sure that they all kind of work properly. So fund rate arbitrage, I think this was more like a demo strategy that we created last year. So it probably needs that kind of like more attention from someone. Overall, those are probably some of the main issues that we found. I think there's also this Bybit perpetual. I think this is the issue that that we're in the process of fixing right now through the bounty. There's issues that can arise with all the stuff we're doing, but part of the process we're trying to do is make sure that Hummingbot is overall it looks more like a well-maintained garden than an unkept jungle. So a lot of things we're doing right now are trying to upgrade the core architecture of Hummingbot so that we can add more connectors, we can add more strategies more easily on top of the base that we currently have. Let's move on to governance, the last topic of the community call. Governance is something that we do quarterly polls where the community votes on which exchanges the code base should support and how much HBOT is allocated toward maintenance. In addition, last quarter, we also did an experiment with buying back tokens. So this is something that we proposed. It was like a 3-month experiment where we took 50% of the fee share collected from OKX, which was, I think, the exchange voted on by the community, and we basically used it to buy back HBOT tokens on a weekly basis. So that experiment concluded last month, and so I'll just take the time to report the what happened. So overall, we did a buyback every week. So on average, OKX, it was probably about $500 on average per week from OKX, and so half of that was used to buy back HBOT. So a total of about $4,000 was spent buying back about 2.3 million of HBOT at a price of let's say 0.002 cents. So overall, I think obviously for us, like we think of HBOT as it's a pure governance token. So because we do give it out to developers, it does have to have some amount of economic value. So that's why I think that because we are collecting fee share from different exchanges, I think that's the natural kind of source of capital to use for these buybacks. So I think overall, if someone wants to propose a new program, we're happy. I think I'm happy to support it. So I think that it'll probably make sense to do like a more general HBOT buyback program, maybe like 10% or something like that of overall fee share. But overall, I think that because we're a community-based project, we can only do this if someone submits a proposal or someone once the proposal is approved by the community. We also conducted Epoch 11 polls. So basically every quarter for the last 11 quarters, we've held 3 votes and allowed people from the community to vote for which connectors which exchanges we should support across these 3 different exchange types that we currently support. In the club spot connector poll, so the top 4 connectors that the community selected were Binance, XRP Ledger, Gate.io, and KuCoin. So those 4 will receive HBOT allocations, and those HBOT allocations can be used to fund bounties related to those connectors. In addition, looks like about 20 exchanges which were voted by the community, and all these kind of surpass the minimum HBOT threshold. I think it's still 200,000 needed to be accepted as a connector. So unfortunately, Polkadex will be removed from the codebase as it did not reach the 200K HBOT votes, but all the other ones will remain in the codebase. In the club perpetual connector poll, the top 4 exchanges were Binance Futures, KuCoin, OKX, and Bybit. And we're happy to report that all the other perpetual connectors in the codebase, including DYDX, Hyperliquid, and others, were included. So we do look forward to more perpetual connectors, both decentralized and centralized in the codebase. Finally, in terms of AMM connectors, the top 4 DEXes selected were Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Balancer, and Curve. In addition, a number of the other DEXes were supported here. So the Jupiter and Meteora will be included in this poll, and Raydium in the future. But we also expect that once we finish the core upgrade that's happening right now, we'll create bounties for the community to update these current connectors to the new standard. We did have a few connectors that were removed from the codebase because they did not reach the 200K HBOT threshold. But we do expect that once the core upgrade is complete and we have the new template for gateway connectors, more people will be able to add their DEX connectors in the gateway. Finally, I want to call out that we will be holding annual elections for the Hummingbot Foundation Board of Directors in March. Board of Directors, there's a 5-person board, and the board is basically provide oversight over the actions of the foundation staff, and ensures that what we're doing from a team perspective is aligned with the mission of Hummingbot, which is to create a public open source code base that people can use for algo trading and market making. So overall, we really welcome anyone from the community. Raise your hand and apply to be a board of directors. We also have an observer role. So I think there's this current cycle, there's 5 board of directors and there's 3 observers that might become directors in the future. So we also encourage community members to apply there. If you're interested, please write a paragraph about your experience with Hummingbot and why you want to become a board member in the governance channel in Discord. So I think that wraps up the the scheduled portion of the February community call. Overall, I think that Hummingbot this year, I think we're really making a focus on kind of like trying to be more improve the core technical components of Hummingbot and allowing Hummingbot to be really a shared community-based owned code base that can add integrations to any exchange that the community really wants, as well as all the different strategies that people may want to build and run with Hummingbot as well. On the strategy side, actually, I would say we think users should really be testing out the new strategies we added recently, especially ones like Grid Strike, which our team has successfully been testing and generating a lot of volume and trading activity using it. So we encourage community members to really test out Hummingbot strategies across all the different exchanges in our code base, see how they perform, and let us know where we can improve them. Looks like there's some questions on Discord. So one's from Jeff. Questions. He asks, the dashboard installed from Docker seems to be different from the dashboard folder from GitHub. The main purpose of dashboard is to provide more like a user interface for kind of configuring your strategies, doing backtesting, and also analyzing the performance of your strategy afterwards. You can also use it to deploy bots right now, but I think that functionality will likely move out of dashboard in the future. Initially, we did add an optimization page in the dashboard, but I think we kind of realized that when you do optimization, you really want to kind of configure a lot of variables and kind of do a lot of basically you kind of need a lot of flexibility, and the dashboard interface didn't offer the flexibility you actually needed. So that's why we started to migrate the optimization capabilities into Jupyter notebooks, where you're running the same kind of backend code, but you're running it through like a notebook instead of like clicking buttons in an app. So that's why I think if you look at the Quants Lab repo in Hummingbot, there's a bunch of like notebooks there, which are basically doing the optimization things that the dashboard is doing. So that's why overall, I would look at Quants Lab if you're interested in doing hyperparameter optimization. But there's the currently dashboard, it still has the basic backtesting, but if you want to do more than that, I kind of like basically do lots of backtests with lots of parameters, I would check out Quants Lab. And then Jeff also asks, can we do the same things from Hummingbot source than Hummingbot Docker? Yes, absolutely. So the Docker version should be like the user version, I guess. It should have the same functionality. The source version, we encourage anyone that wants to develop on Hummingbot. Like let's say you want to add your own strategy controller, or you want to add your own connector, then you should definitely install from source, because that'll allow you to modify the code base, recompile, and use your new version of the code base. But if you just want to use Hummingbot as is, I think the Docker version should be sufficient. Yeah, and as Fede mentioned, I think we try to basically showcase and kind of walk through the steps of how to use some of the new things that we've introduced. Like I know we've added a lot of things to Hummingbot in the last year with kind of like the dashboard, Quants Lab, and all these other new repos. So, so if you're interested in kind of how they work, please check out our YouTube live streams. And in the future, we'll try to do a better job of taking those live stream content and editing them and creating more like bite-sized, bite-sized sections that the community can consume more easily. Do we do a live stream with grid controller? I think actually, I'm not sure if Fede actually can probably answer that question. He might have touched on it in his previous ones, but I think currently I don't think we've actually done a dedicated one on grid. I think on grid strike. If you're interested, I do think Fede probably can do one live stream in the future covering that. We'll probably have to wait for the future live stream. Next 3, he's gonna kind of continue his AI strategy, and yeah, maybe he can incorporate grid into it. I think in March I'm gonna try to go through the Solana like DEX strategies, hopefully showcase what people can do. But so overall, the live streams that we're doing should be overall, I think they'll be very valuable for people who want to kind of see what all the things that people can do with Hummingbot, because we'll try to showcase kind of like the cutting edge, the AI based strategies, grid strategies, DEX, LP strategies, everything. Yeah, Hummingbot's kind of, I think we're actually finding our stride now. We're starting to really work more with the individual exchanges on our code base to allow the community to support them, which gives us kind of more time to flesh out the strategy frameworks in Hummingbot. Try to extend what people can do with Hummingbot and show the community through live streams and calls like this. So overall, yeah, I think that we're always looking for more people who want to contribute to Hummingbot in various ways, whether that is building connectors or fixing bugs in our strategy, or even extending strategies and adding strategies to the open source code base. So overall, if you're interested in becoming a contributor, please check out our GitHub, our Bounties board, and other places like that for issues that you can take or bounties you can support. Overall, if you have like content you want us to, like for instance, like if you want us to like do more with the group controller, create GitHub issues. I think that's the best way to have us respond. So for instance, if you create a GitHub issue that's like, hey, here's like the strategy that I would want you to demo or something like that. We can probably respond to that and try to see if we can incorporate that into our live stream. I just want to thank everyone for attending the call. Especially, I want to give a shout out to the developers who are constantly supporting our code base, like Memento on the call, who's working on some core environment upgrades right now. Overall, I don't think we can do this without the help and the support from all the community members out there who are using Hummingbot and maintaining Hummingbot. So I just want to thank everyone out there, and I'll see you guys at the next community call in March. Bye, everyone.